3 spine-chilling true horror tales exposing the terrifying secrets of the cursed and sinister past. Jenna's heart pounded, her phone buzzed violently against the greasy counter of the diner. It was Ethan's voice, trembling and small, breaking through the monotonous clink of dishes and murmured conversations. "Mom! Someone's in the house." Panic surged through her, her fingers slick with sweat. Should she call the police? She had little faith they would care. She lived their apathy. She fought against disbelief, adrenaline propelling her feet as she dashed outside into the unsettling twilight. The streetlights flickered, stretching shadows across the cracked pavement of their neighborhood like dark fingers beckoning her to stop. Focusing on what her son said, dread twisted her stomach. Who could be in their home? She rushed to the single-story house that was supposed to hold safety. As she flung the door open, it creaked in a way that made her skin crawl. There stood Mr. Hargrove, their seemingly harmless neighbor, a smile plastered on his face. "Everything's fine, Jenna. Just helping Ethan with a little late-night snack," he said, eyes glinting oddly in the dim light. But it wasn't fine. As days turned into sleepless nights, the air thickened in their house like a looming storm. Items began to shift on their own, and Ethan whispered of shadows with eyes that stalked him. Jenna felt like she was unspooling, each event a twisted knot tightening in her chest. She recalled the stories the local children gone missing. Their stories fed to the wind as whispers across the neighborhood. It didn't take long for her to connect the dots, pointing straight at Mr. Hargrove, at the haunted edge of her street. She pored over the rumors, the chilling past that chimed with her growing paranoia. Desperate, she turned to the police. Their dismissive nods grated against her resolve. "Paranoia, ma'am, you're exhausted. You're doing your best." She wanted to scream. They didn't understand. The threat wasn't just a figment of her imagination, it was real. It slid under her skin like a worm, spreading dread through every nerve. As she left, shame and helplessness sank into her bones. Each night became a haunting escapade of fear. Whenever Ethan played, laughter drowned in the undercurrent of terror. The shadows morphed in the corners of her mind, reminding her of something sinister. But her protective instinct surged, leading her directly to Mr. Hargrove's door. There, surrounded by photographs of smiling children, each face an echo of nostalgia, she confronted him, her heart thundering angrily in her chest. "You know," he began, leaning forward, "you have no idea what you're part of." The words dripped with a chilling affection. It gutted her, the grotesque truth crashing over her. As she stumbled back, confusion turned to horror. The shadows in the room flickered violently, leaving Jenna with a bone-chilling thought. Her true peril lay not just with Hargrove, but within the buried secrets of their peaceful facade. As darkness swallowed her home whole, she was left with one unforgiving realization. They were mere players in an ancient, sinister game. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In that moment of vulnerability, Jenna felt as though the air itself twisted around her, trapping her in a claustrophobic embrace. The shiver coursing through her spine ignited a primal urge to flee, yet she knew she could not abandon Ethan. Shadows darted on the periphery of her vision, and a cold breeze whispered against her skin, freezing her instincts. What terror was lurking in wait beyond the walls of their home, behind the facade of familiar faces? The room darkened as her gaze steadied on Hargrove's smile. Too wide, too jagged. Was this just the beginning? Each heartbeat echoed the questions drumming in her mind, urging her toward a truth that felt dangerously close, yet impossibly far. Jenna stumbled back into the dimly lit hallway, the shadows around her twisting like whispers of forgotten souls. The photographs of children stared back, their eyes hollow and taunting. A shard of dread pierced her heart, urging her to grab Ethan and escape. But could she trust her own decisions now? Her mind raced with the weight of the truth she had just unearthed. As she turned, the air went cold. The sounds of the world outside faded, swallowed by an all-consuming silence. It felt alive, pulsating with a dark energy that wrapped snake-like around her throat. Heart pounding, she pushed herself against the wall, praying the shadows wouldn't reach for her. Ethan, where was he? Ethan. Her voice cracked, a desperate plea swallowed by the void of the suffocating stillness. Her footsteps echoed against the floor, loud and unsettling, as she dashed toward the kitchen where they had always felt safe until now. The wooden cabinets stood like sentinels. The kitchen utensils lay unnaturally still as if they too held their breath. Panic surged as she reached the threshold. The room appeared empty, but a sickening chill whispered across her skin. The back door was ajar, swaying gently, not a single breath of wind. Jenna's instincts screamed as she rushed to the door, flinging it open fully. The darkness outside engulfed her, deep and impenetrable. Ethan. She called again, this time trembling as a new thought slithered into her mind. What if he wasn't inside? What if Hargrove had taken him? An icy finger traced along her spine at the horrifying thought. She scanned the yard, the bushes and trees looming ominously. Where could he be? Suddenly, a soft giggle floated from the shadows, high-pitched and unnatural. It was Ethan's laugh laced with an unsettling echo that made the hair on her arms rise. She followed the sound, heart racing, each step a battle against the creeping dread clawing at her throat. Ethan. Her voice broke as she entered the shadowy embrace of the trees lining their yard. Twisting branches reached out like skeletal hands, the space growing narrower, suffocating. Yet, the laughter pulled her deeper, towards an unseen horror. She stumbled, nearly losing her footing. Then she saw him, silhouetted against the moon. Ethan stood, staring transfixed at Hargrove, who also faced the boy, crouched low, whispering with an unsettling gentleness. Jenna's chest tightened, and a scream clawed to the surface as she sprinted forward. "Leave him alone," she shouted, a potent mix of fury and fear igniting her voice. The moment her words pierced the night, it felt like a pulse, a shockwave rippling through the air. Hargrove slowly turned to face her, his eyes now dark voids, an expression of twisted delight painted across his features. "You just don't understand, do you?" he crooned, his voice a sickly sweetness that made Jenna's skin crawl. "He's part of the game now, just like the others. Isn't that right, Ethan?" Without warning, Ethan's head snapped towards her, but his face held no recognition. The boy's smile widened in a grotesque mirror of Hargrove's. It was then that the whispers surged, dark voices wrapping around her like chains, the air thick with sinister laughter. "Mom?" Ethan's voice came out eerie and distant, a haunting echo from a child lost to the night. Jenna's heart shattered, panic skyrocketing as she realized she was losing him, losing all she held dear. In the depth of that darkness, she understood. This was just the start. As she stood frozen, the shadows twisted further, beckoning her to make a choice. Flee from the only innocent light left in a world tainted by terror, or step into the abyss to fight for her son. "What are you going to do, Jenna?" Hargrove's smile widened, as the moon bathed them in an unforgiving glare. The game was far from over. As she took a shaky step forward, Jenna felt the weight of the past crash around her. The shadows deepened, and within them, a secret unraveling, something darker awaited both her and Ethan as it pulled them inexorably closer to the unraveling horror hidden beneath the mask of normalcy. "What will be your move?" Hargrove challenged, his voice a phantom whisper. With the stakes increasing, Jenna pierced the night with an agonizing scream, the only sound riding the winds of a storm that was just beginning. Jenna's scream echoed through the trees, but time felt suspended. Hargrove's laughter danced in the air, mingling with Ethan's vacant smile. Shadows twisted tighter, an unyielding grip pushing against her resolve. Each breath she took made her feel heavier as the dread coiled around her, choking off clarity. But she couldn't lose Ethan. Not now. Not like this. "Ethan, look at me," she cried, willing her voice to break through the darkness that wrapped him like a suffocating blanket. "It's Mom. I'm here." A flicker of something flickered in the boy's eyes. Confusion. Maybe? Or was it just a fleeting moment of recognition before being swallowed whole by the night? Hargrove's sharp intake of breath disrupted the silence, a growl that sent shivers rippling through the air. "They will all play," he hissed, gesturing wildly as if orchestrating a mad symphony. "But you can join them, Jenna. You can be free of this burden." "Free of what?" she demanded, fear fueling her anger. "You're the one holding him hostage. This isn't freedom. You're twisted." Hargrove's head tilted. That sickening smile spread wide. "Freedom is a game, dear. And the rules? They bend and shift. All you have to do is surrender." "Never." The word erupted from Jenna's throat, fierce and unyielding. But the shadows rippled, an icy breath swirling around her ankles, dragging at her. Behind her, the house loomed, now a monstrous silhouette against the night sky, dark windows glimmering as if 1,000 eyes were watching, waiting. Ethan took a small step toward Hargrove, and that movement sent alarm bells screaming in Jenna's mind. "No, Ethan. Come back." She lunged forward, arm outstretched. "Do you really think you can save him?" Hargrove taunted, his arm reaching out, beckoning the boy closer. "His heart is already part of the game. He knows what he must do." "Ethan, please." Jenna's voice cracked, desperation spilling into the air, mixing with fog that rolled around them, thick and cloying. She felt herself sinking. The shadows around her beckoned like ancient hands, known and yet alien. But a flicker of clarity sparked within her. She couldn't abandon him to whatever fate Hargrove had planned. The darkness demanded choice and sacrifice. This villain understood chaos. But he didn't know the love of a mother, a force stronger than the shadows. "Ethan." Jenna's voice cut through the gloom. "You are not alone. Fight him. Fight it." His head snapped back, confusion marring the joyless smile. For the briefest moment, she saw something genuine in his eyes, a heartbeat of clarity. "Mom," he whispered, the weight of recognition crashing over him like a wave. "Come to me," she urged, desperation weaving through every word. Hargrove's face darkened, a storm brewing behind his eyes. "No, this is not how it's supposed to end. You are all mine." As Jenna stepped forward, the shadows writhed. She felt a hot wind spike through the air, an unnatural force pushing against her. The branches above creaked and groaned, limbs twisting like a chorus of angry whispers. "No," Hargrove screamed, hands clawing at the air. "You don't understand what you're doing. You'll unleash something terrible." The ground trembled beneath Jenna's feet, as if it too joined in protest. She locked her eyes on Ethan, taking a step further despite the growing tempest. Wind whipped around her, howling like tormented souls set free. Then it happened. A flash of light erupted around Ethan, a crackling energy snapping at the edges of darkness. The shadows clamored, pulling back like a tide retreating from a shore. Jenna's heart thundered, a surge of hope burrowing into her chest. "Ethan," she called again, her voice fierce, echoing against the cacophony. "We can break this. Together." The pull of the shadows faltered, yielding. But at what cost? Hargrove flailed, eyes wild with fury. The battle had begun, a clash of light and dark within that twisted realm. But then Jenna froze, listening. An unsettling new sound joined the fray, whispers rising like a chorus, calling to her from the depths of the forest. A darkness deeper than Hargrove's, a presence lurking just beyond sight, creeping closer. "Choose," the voices taunted, blending with the wind, wrapping around her, pulling. Jenna realized too late that the game was changing again, and this time, the stakes were higher than she could imagine. "Jenna!" Ethan shouted, breaking through the grip of shadows. But could she save him from the darkness lurking beyond? The air thickened, the whispers growing louder, demanding her attention. There was no escape, only a choice that would seal their fates forever. Jenna stood, heart racing, as she faced the approaching night. What lay beyond the shadows? What choice could she possibly make? "Come on, Mom. We have to go." Ethan urged, grasping for her hand. But at that moment, Jenna knew she was not just fighting for him. She was battling a darkness that threatened to consume them both. And then she felt it, an overwhelming suffocation of dread, as if something ancient had awakened, waiting for the right moment to strike. Was Hargrove just the servant to a much greater evil? All she could do was hold on. As the malicious whispers reached a fever pitch around her, the question lingered. Could such darkness ever truly be defeated? The ground beneath Jenna's feet jolted, reverberating with the tension of ancient forces clashing. Hargrove's figure loomed larger, shadows pooling like dark ink around him, drawing Ethan closer as if he were a moth to a flame. The air crackled with energy, sharp and desperate, clawing at her skin. "Ethan, run!" she screamed, her heart a wild drum in her chest. But the boy stood transfixed, hesitation etched across his face, caught in the web of looming dread. Shadows wrapped tighter, tugging at him like a lover from whom he could not pull away. The whispers escalated, a chorus of lost souls weaving tales of despair into her mind. Fragments of words curled around her like smoke, fragments almost recognizable: her past, her fears, her failures. Lost, sacrifice, your choice. They flickered and faded, leaving just the chilling sense that she alone held the key to an unspeakable horror. "Mom, I can't." Ethan's voice trembled, eyes shining with confusion and fear. Hargrove's laughter nodded with the darkness, made a sick symphony, a melody that twisted her stomach into knots. "No," Jenna declared, clenching her fists. Fear became fury as she stepped forward, breaking through the boundary of shadows. "You are stronger than this. Fight it, Ethan." The path between them seemed to stretch like an endless chasm, a gaping maw eager to swallow them both whole. Ethan's gaze darted to Hargrove, whose smile widened to a menacing grin, feeding off their fear. "You think you can save him? You think love can break this bond?" So naive. Hargrove's voice dripped mockery. But Jenna felt something shift. The shadows wavered, teetering on the edge as if waiting for a nudge. Something within her ignited a glimmer of hope wrapped in the wrath of a mother refusing to give up. "I will not leave you," Jenna shouted, stepping closer, eyes aflame. The darkness twisted, hissing softly, like serpents, slithering and curling menacingly around her legs. Ethan's expression crumpled. "Mom, I can hear it. They're saying things. No, don't listen to them," she pleaded. The weight of the world crushed her bones, but she wouldn't falter. Someone needed to break free. It had to be them. "We are stronger together." An unseen hand squeezed at her throat, panic consuming her as she fought against it. The whispers rose to a crescendo, their intent palpable, binding like chains. They descended upon her, wrapping around her mind, memories flooding in every doubt she ever felt, every moment of fear that made her falter. Ethan's voice cut through, breaking the spell. She looked at him, and in his eyes, she saw that flicker of clarity again, a realization sparking like an ember. "We have to face it together." He took a step closer, the shadows recoiling slightly, as if they feared his conviction. "Yes, that's it," Jenna encouraged, her heart racing. But even as she rejoiced, a deeper fear lurked. What if facing the darkness meant they had to confront something worse? The shadows around Hargrove blackened, swirling violently as if fed by their uncertainty. "You are foolish," he spat, his face twisting into rage. "This is not just about you. Others play this game. Let them go." Before Jenna could react, the ground beneath them trembled more violently, and she felt a rumble of ancient power surfacing. The thick fog boiled around her, clawing at her vision. Hargrove's eyes narrowed, sensing the change. "You've awakened it." Jenna's stomach dropped, dread pooling heavy in her chest. "What have I done?" she whispered, as tendrils of darkness reached out, stretching beyond Hargrove with a will of their own. "Face your fears, or be consumed," the whispers shrieked, crowding in and blurring shadows. As the earth twisted underfoot, a spectral form began to rise from the depths, a grotesque figure caught in pain and sorrow, its hollow eyes fixated on Jenna. She recoiled, gripping Ethan's hand tightly, but he wouldn't let go. The ethereal being's breath came out like a cruel ice storm, chilling her bones. "Mom!" Ethan cried, fear etched on his face. In that pulse of fear, Jenna realized her choice had arisen. To fight was to embrace not just her love but confront the embodiment of fear itself. As whispers clawed viciously at her sanity, she heard them clearly. Choose, surrender or fight. Would she sacrifice all they had to break free what would be left of them in the aftermath? The ancient horror lingered like a dark cloud, the figure spinning toward them, its fingers curling as Jenna's heart raced. What kind of nightmare had she awakened? She had to decide. Jenna breathed, as the truth blazed in her chest. Would they stand and confront this unimaginable terror, or would they succumb? The answer loomed like a specter behind her, and a vision stirred within one that could change everything. The shadows coiled closer, daring her to declare what she feared most, and the darkness waited, hungry and relentless, whispering promises of despair. Would Jenna find the strength to confront what truly lurked in the abyss? The answer lay just beyond them, waiting to be unveiled. A low growl rolled through the air, the guttural noise vibrating in Jenna's chest. The grotesque figure that had emerged from the depths twisted its head, eyes locking onto her with unyielding intensity. A scream threatened to tear free from her lips, but she swallowed it down and focused on Ethan. He was her light, the tether that kept her anchored in this swirling chaos. "Stay with me, Ethan," Jenna pleaded, her gaze darting back to the monstrous specter that loomed above them, a patchwork of agony and anguish. The thing's form flickered like a dying flame, its features shifting, sometimes resembling those of a child, sometimes an ancient face twisted in torment. It was a mosaic of every fear Jenna had ever known, layered upon each other, building an unbearable weight that pressed down on her chest. "Mom, I don't think I can." Ethan's voice broke, the light in his eyes dimming under the pressure of dread. "Listen to me." Jenna felt a surge of courage, infused by the urgency of the moment. "You have to fight. We have to fight together. Trust me." Ethan looked at her, desperation battling with trust. "What if we lose?" Jenna's heart raced. "We won't. We can't. We have to face it. Look." She pointed at the creature, whose hollow mouth opened wide, and its breath rolled over them like a thick mist, ice-cold and suffocating. The whispers grew louder, each word gnashing like teeth. "Surrender, surrender, what will you sacrifice?" "Shut up," Jenna shouted, feeling her resolve hardening. The darkness snickered at her defiance. She could feel it pressing against her mind, searching for cracks in her armor. "Together," she declared, squeezing Ethan's hand until their knuckles turned white. "On 3. 1, 2, Mom," Ethan yelled, pulling away from her grip, eyes wide with horror. Jenna's heart sank. "Ethan, no, don't." But it was too late. A force beyond comprehension wrenched Ethan away, drawing him back toward Hargrove. The man was now engulfed in swirling shadows, his form barely visible. "Run." Hargrove beckoned, a twisted grin spreading across his face, eyes glinting with dark satisfaction. "Let the sacrifice begin." Ethan fought against the unseen force, his body thrashing. "Mom, help me." Jenna's instincts screamed at her to rush forward, but she was rooted in place, paralyzed by fear while the specter drew nearer. With every heartbeat, Jenna felt the walls closing in, shadows curling around her legs like hungry serpents. They whispered lies and fears, each syllable cutting deeper into her consciousness. "You'll lose him. This is the end. Just give in." "No." A roar erupted from her, shaking her very core. She refused to be another crushed spirit. The shadows around her jerked, as if repulsed by her fury. "What is it you're truly afraid of?" A voice hissed, slithering into her thoughts. "Your son? Or what you'll become if this goes on?" The haunting question hung in the air. Jenna felt small and vulnerable. What if they failed? What if the darkness consumed them whole? But then another thought pierced through. What if this was her only chance to break the cycle of fear that had haunted her family for generations? She stepped forward, heart thundering. "Ethan, I love you. And that's why I won't let go." The spectral figure surged toward her, a grotesque embodiment of her fears, its cold fingers inching closer, reaching out as if to bring her into its hell. Jenna could feel the chilling breath on her skin, the weight of despair settling in her bones. "Face it," she shouted, summoning all her strength. "Together we fight." Just then, a blinding light radiated from Ethan, illuminating the darkness with pure intensity. Jenna gasped as the shadows recoiled, shrieking in agony. The thing that was once a creature of sorrow faltered, flickering like a flame blown in the wind. Jenna seized the moment, rushing toward her son with every ounce of her will. "Hold on, Ethan. We're breaking free." But before they could reach each other, a deafening roar erupted, shaking the very ground beneath them. Hargrove's laughter echoed, drowning out all hope. "You think this is freedom? This is merely the beginning." The shadows writhed around them, angry and restless. As if sensing a shift, the creature snapped back into form, launching itself toward Jenna with horrifying speed. "Jenna!" Ethan screamed, but it was too late. In that instant, Jenna saw her life flash before her, moments of joy, fear, love, each memory imprinting an urgency that ignited a fire deep within her soul. "Enough!" she roared, grasping the very essence of her spirit and thrusting it forward like a weapon. As the darkness closed in, the choice between surrender and fight bore down heavier than any weight she had ever known. But as the shadows surged forward, Jenna understood that what lay ahead could reshape everything. Would it be hope or eternal despair? Just as she was about to confront the awakening terror, the shadows paused, sensing her resolve. And in that heartbeat, Jenna could almost hear the answer beckoning. But which path would she choose? The shadows twisted and pulsed, as if testing the limits of Jenna's strength. The air thrummed with electricity, an ominous energy wrapping around them like a vice. She could feel it tightening, squeezing the hope from her chest, but it only propelled her forward. "Ethan, no matter what happens, remember our love," she screamed, every ounce of her being focused on him. The blinding light radiating from Ethan flickered, responding to the despair encroaching around them. She could see his face, pale and stricken, but his eyes sparkled with resolve. Suddenly, the monstrous figure surged forth, its features sharpening into something more corporeal, more visceral. It lunged at Jenna with clawed hands that glistened like daggers, and she flinched but didn't back down. The moment felt intimate. It was simply her and this creature of nightmares, standing at the precipice of her greatest fears. "Your struggle is futile," it screeched, a voice that resembled a chorus of souls in torment, echoing with chilling familiarity. Jenna's breath caught. "No, you don't own me." And yet, as she spoke those words, shadows clawed at her heels, biting and snapping, intent on dragging her into their abyss. Jenna fought against the urge to succumb, forcing her thoughts away from despair. She placed her hands on her heart, remembering the love that had given her strength. "Ethan," she screamed, and in that moment, recognition sparked in his eyes. He understood. The monstrous form hesitated, as if her defiance unsettled its essence. For a brief moment, Jenna saw a glimmer of hope reflected in the darkness, a thin line holding back the tide. "Now, Ethan, push against it." Getting her cue, Ethan closed his eyes, the light bursting forth from within him a second time, stronger than before. It swirled in radiant tendrils, illuminating every corner of their prison and scattering shadows like leaves in a storm. The howling audibility of despair morphed into agonized shrieks, filling the air with an eerie cacophony that grated against Jenna's mind. They were winning. The darkness recoiled, a beast wounded by its own hubris. However, it was still lurking, waiting for the moment to strike. Jenna felt the ground beneath her tremble, the power shifting, and she needed to seize it while they had the chance. "Together," she yelled, charging forward, not caring if her heart raced or if her legs threatened to buckle. Their love was a beacon, a force to be reckoned with. One last time, show it what we are. Though the shadows writhed and contorted, Jenna pressed onward, the cold breath of the creature brushing against her skin. She could feel its desperation, a beast desperate for the warmth of a soul to feed on. But she wouldn't be a meal today. She would be the flame that scorched it away. Ethan, I believe in you. She extended her hand toward him, pulling the light from deep within. Trust our bond. We'll ignite this darkness. But just as the light surged forth, coiling around them, a deafening crack split the air. Jenna's heart plummeted as a shadowy arm erupted from the ground below, snatching her ankle in a vice-like grip, pulling her down into the abyss. No, she screamed, a visceral cry that reverberated, echoed by the darkness closing in around them. She felt the cold tendrils of despair clawing up her leg, rising, wrapping tighter, constricting her breath, her energy. Ethan's face twisted in horror and determination. Mom, hold on. The ground shook violently, shadows swirling violently, but Jenna's gaze found Ethan's. For a fleeting moment, she felt the connection tethering them. Fight, she breathed, the words barely escaping her lips, punctuated by panic, but laced with a resolve she didn't know she had. Suddenly, Hargrove's maniacal laughter pierced through the chaos, echoing all around them. This is just a game, my dear, and you've played right into my hands. Jenna's heart seized. Was Hargrove the specter of their suffering? Or was he merely the puppet master manipulating their deepest fears? As the creature closed in, drawing closer with its horrible visage, its chilling breath enveloped her. In that moment, Jenna realized this was not just a fight for survival. It was a dance with every aspect of herself. But how could they conquer that which lived in the darkest parts of their hearts? Ethan's cry broke through the murmur of despair. We can't give up, Mom. Remember who we are. But as they strained against the weight of despair, Hargrove vanished, leaving behind an overwhelming silence that swallowed them whole. Ethan. Her words fell silent as blackness closed in, crushing every breath. What emerged on the other side would challenge everything they knew. Would they rise anew or be devoured by the darkness lurking, always waiting? Jenna felt weightless, as if she were floating in a void. The darkness wrapped around her, suffocating and cold. Panic surged, clawing at her insides. She struggled against it, but her body felt detached, heavy, as if it belonged to someone else. Was she slipping away? Ethan, she screamed, though it felt like the sound died in the silence, swallowed by the blackness, rendering her voice useless. Her eyes darted around, searching for any trace of her son, that radiant light that had become her anchor in this storm of despair. But there was nothing, only shadows shifting and writhing in the abyss. Suddenly, she was thrown backwards, a powerful force dragging her through the endless dark. Jenna gasped, the icy grip of panic creeping into her thoughts. The laughter of Hargrove echoed faintly in the distance, a haunting sound that sent shivers down her spine. A game. She could hear his words, and they vibrated in her bones. A game that never ends. Jenna felt something sharp graze her skin, and she recoiled instinctively, pulling away from the invisible terrors lurking in the shadows. The laughter transformed into a hollow murmur, a chorus of tortured souls blending with her own racing heart. No, please, she whimpered, tears brimming in her eyes. Ethan, I need you. As if in response, a flicker of light appeared in the depths of darkness, a pinprick of warmth. Hope surged, and Jenna's spirit clawed its way back. She stumbled forward, fighting against the overpowering waves of despair, driven by the sheer will to reunite with her son. Ethan, she called again, her voice firmer now, rising above the noise of the shadows. I'm here. I'm coming. Just hold on. The light pulsed, illuminating the outlines of faces distorted, anguished expressions that looked back at her, their mouths moving in silent screams. Jenna felt a chill creep through her body, dread clawing at her heart. They were imprisoned souls, victims of Hargrove's cruelty. Were they trying to warn her? She pressed forward, fueled by adrenaline and despair. The light grew brighter, morphing into a shape she recognized. Ethan stood at the edge of the dark, his hands glowing with that brilliance she had come to associate with her son. Mom! His voice cut through the layers of shadow, rich and full of love. Don't give up. I'm almost there. Jenna shouted back, her voice powerful against the suffocating darkness. She could feel the shadows snapping at her heels, but she refused to turn back now. The pit of the abyss yawned wider, threatening to envelop her once again, but she barreled through, grasping onto the light. Together, they cried in unison, a haunting echo of their resolve. And just when Jenna thought she could barely inch closer, Hargrove's shadow appeared between them, menacing and tall. His grin was unfurling like that of a predator closing in on its prey. What a lovely reunion. But it's time for your final act. Get out of our way. Ethan roared, and with a flick of his wrist, the glowing light shot out like a flame, splintering into dazzling shards, pushing back against the oppressive gloom. But Hargrove only laughed, a high-pitched cackle that echoed in all directions. You think you can win? You cannot defeat the dark that dwells within. You will never escape. Jenna's heart raced. Hargrove was right. The shadows fed on fear. But she wouldn't let it consume her or her son. The flame flickered, but it felt strong. Could they really push through? Ethan, we have to face it. All of it. Together. As the monstrous grotesque features twisted into a grin filled with malice, Jenna felt the chilling grasp of despair tightening, whispering vile truths in her ear, threatening to splinter her courage. But deep inside her, a new resolve ignited. There was something worse than the dark creature surrounding them, something hidden in the corners of her own mind. Could she confront that? Mom. Ethan's voice trembled, uncertain, and Jenna faced the darkness, determination surging through her. The shadows slithered like snakes, drawn in by her fear, but she understood now. It wasn't just about fighting. It was about embracing the light amidst the dark. Could their love be enough to conquer the monster lying in the depths of their souls? Or were they merely puppets dancing in Hargrove's intricate web? They needed to find out, and the darkness was ready to show them. With every ounce of courage, they pushed forward into that terrible unknown. Jenna felt the weight of the dark intensify as Hargrove's laughter echoed in her ears, reverberating through her skull like the pounding of a sinister drum. She and Ethan were surrounded, trapped in a microcosm of terror that throbbed with dread. The glowing shards faltered briefly, flickering like a candle in a tempest. Ethan, hold on to me, she shouted, clawing at the light, willing it to grow. Mom, I don't know if I can. Ethan's voice wavered, uncertainty leaking into the brightness. Jenna felt the icy tendrils of despair creeping in, challenging her resolve. She had to be stronger. Suddenly, the shadows twisted violently, stretching out like spectral fingers intent on dragging them into oblivion. The faces of the trapped souls began breaking into agonized wails, crescendoing around her. What if they were right? What if there truly was no escape? Push! Jenna screamed, her voice slicing through the cacophony. We have to push. As if responding to the urgency in her words, Ethan focused, summoning his light with all his might. The brilliance surged forward, illuminating Hargrove in grotesque detail. His appearance was ghastly, a fusion of nightmares twisted into a single entity, eyes 3 sizes too big, a grin that leaned too far into madness. Hargrove's presence felt like a magnetic pull, inviting their fear closer, but Jenna steeled herself, straining against the force. Your light is no match for the shadows. Hargrove snarled, darkness swirling hungrily around him like a black storm. But Jenna gasped as she noticed something, a flicker of vulnerability in Hargrove's posture. A tiny crack in the malevolent facade. There, amid the shadows, lay a glimmer of the human he once was, a glimpse of the horror he'd inflicted on so many souls before. Ethan. She tightened her grip on his hand, pulling him closer. He is scared, just like us. Ethan felt it too, the tremor in the darkness reflecting their own fear. What do we do? He questioned, the light wavering uncertainly. Remember the warmth? Jenna instructed, focusing on their shared love, the moments that brought them joy, the fierce bond that would not be broken. Let it fill you. The glowing shards brightened, warmth surging from the center of their connection. Jenna felt it pulsate, a heartbeat synchronized with her son's. The memories they forged, laughter during family dinners, Fingers entwined during school plays brought her strength. Together, they whispered, focusing on the laughter, the hope, the warmth that enveloped their hearts. Suddenly, the shadows drew back, recoiling from the light that surged forth with righteous anger. It was their love clashing against the pitiless darkness, a radiant force pushing against Hargrove's smirking mask of terror. "No!" he screamed, voice cracking, the growl of desperation slipping through his lips. But Jenna and Ethan pressed forward, the light blistering through the dark until it broke the suffocating barrier between them. They rushed toward Hargrove, who staggered backward, eyes wide with fear. Yet, just as victory seemed to brush against them, a gust of despair swirled through the air, a last-ditch effort from Hargrove. "I will reveal your darkest secret," he hissed, mouth curving into that sickening smile. "The truth that lies within each of you." What are you talking about?" Jenna demanded, tightening her grasp on Ethan, but her heart raced with dread. In that moment, shadows flared, engulfing the glowing light swirls of darkness converging into a single point of focus. Whispers crawled through the abyss, echoing secrets long buried, each as twisted and vile as Hargrove himself. "Are you ready to confront the truth?" Hargrove mused, glee dripping from his voice. Jenna felt the cold grip of fear seep into her bones. A truth? What could he possibly know? The shadows thickened, squeezing around them, threatening to pull them under as light flickered dangerously. "Mom, what's happening?" Ethan cried, panic etching lines into his innocent features. Jenna's stomach churned. "Ethan, stay with me. Don't listen to him." But doubt had begun to settle in, that nagging whisper of uncertainty. What if there was a truth that could tear them apart? What if the love that fueled their fight now became their greatest foe? The darkness deepened, the suffocating air carrying promises of revelations untold. As Jenna clutched her son tighter, a chilling sense of foreboding surrounded them, thickening into a tangible omen. What secrets lingered in the bowels of their deepest fears? What truth awaited to be unveiled at the expense of their precious bond? As the shadows began to close in, Jenna braced herself. They needed to face it, but were they strong enough to endure what was about to be revealed? The darkness thickened, wrapping around them like a serpent poised to strike. Jenna squeezed Ethan's hand harder, her heart racing. "Don't let go," she whispered, her voice trembling. A soft, sinister melody started to weave through the oppressive air, echoing off unseen walls. It was a lullaby, sweet yet haunting, growing louder. Jenna could feel every note sink into her bones, tugging at the corners of her mind. The shadows seemed to pulse with the rhythm, swirling around them, eager to drown out their light. "Mom, I don't like this," Ethan whimpered, his bright eyes now wide with terror. She could see tears welling up in his innocent gaze, reflecting the nightmare unfolding before them as Hargrove's smile twisted more grotesquely. "Oh, but you will," Hargrove taunted, his voice dripping with malice. "You see, each of you holds a treasure of darkness. Yours are just waiting to be unwrapped." The shadows shifted, drawing nearer, morphing into shapes that bore the echoes of past transgressions, the faces of lost loved ones, friends long gone. Their mouths moved silently, mirroring the silent screams of horror and betrayal. Jenna's breath hitched in her throat. "Listen closely," Hargrove continued, his tone almost soothing. "A secret can be like poison. It can fester, grow, and poison everything you hold dear." "What did you hide, Jenna? What did you do that forced you into this world?" "Shut up," Jenna screamed, her voice cracking. She couldn't let him manipulate them. Yet, doubts crawled through her mind, whispering ugly truths of her past. She thought of moments long buried, mistakes that felt like lead weights pulling her down. "Remember your daughter?" Hargrove's eyes glinted with malicious joy. "The one you left behind when you chose this boy?" His words struck like daggers. Jenna flinched, gripping Ethan tighter, her heart gripping her stomach as shame entwined with love. She had lost so much. "Mom?" Ethan's voice was a thread, thin and quivering. "What's he talking about?" The shadows twisted as Hargrove leaned in closer. "Tell him, Jenna." Tell him how you abandoned her for him. The light of your life extinguished because of your choices. With every syllable, the shadows shrieked, reverberating through Jenna's chest. She felt their weight, the guilt, the despair clawing at her. The truth could unearth everything she had fought so hard to protect. No. She shook her head fervently, desperate to drown out Hargrove's words. It isn't true. I didn't, but did you? Hargrove pressed, amusement dancing in his eyes. What if he knew how unworthy you truly are? Would he still love you? Ethan quaked beside her, confusion morphing his youthful features. Mom, is it true? The world around Jenna blurred, shadows seeping into her very soul. Her breath came in quick gasps as memories surged images of that day. The screams, the ashes. She had buried it deep within, trying to shield Ethan from the truth. But could she really keep it hidden now? Would he hate her? Mom, please, Ethan cried, his voice cracking. You have to say something. Jenna's throat felt raw, every confession like sandpaper against her conscience. She could feel Hargrove drawing forward, shadows swirling eagerly around him. I can show you what you are too frightened to confront. Hargrove smirked, shadows morphing again, this time forming chaotic scenes of laughter, love, loss, and betrayal. Jenna felt the weight intensify, hazy images now flickering through her mind like damaged film. Secrets poured out, the dark essence of their past loomed like a storm cloud above them. Ethan? The whisper trembled on her lips, choking her. What if the truth tears us apart? The words echoed ominously in the darkness, the point of no return looming before them. Face it, Hargrove taunted, baring his jagged teeth. You know you can't hide from the truth forever. Jenna's heart raced. She could feel Hargrove's presence closing in, the shadows tightening their grip. But what truth would they unveil? What dark reality awaited them? And deeper still, was their love strong enough to withstand the brutal revelations? What if the bonds that connected them were far more fragile than she ever imagined? As the whispers crescendoed, one question loomed large. What if every truth they uncovered pushed them closer to a darkness they could never escape? Jenna's heart raced as she grappled with the decision that lay ahead. The specter of Hargrove loomed large, feeding off their fear, twisting their memories into a poison that threatened to dissolve the delicate threads binding her and Ethan. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once, one strand of courage, sparks enough to ignite a flame. Stop, she shouted, forcing every ounce of strength into her voice. You won't use our past against us. Our love is stronger than your lies. The shadows receded slightly, recoiling as if struck. Jenna felt the connection to Ethan's pulse in her chest, a lifeline that anchored her in the storm. Mom! Ethan cried, desperation filling his voice, but it held a clarity that pierced through the haze. The panic that gripped him was real, but so was the faith he had in her. You've got to fight for us. The shadows writhed and howled around them, a cacophony of anger swirling against their defiance. Hargrove's lips twisted into a snarl, threatening to unleash terror upon them. He knew their fears, and those fears had been his weapon, their shared secrets, now the potential downfall of their bond. But she was more than a mother drowned in regret. She was a warrior for her son. As doubt crawled through every bone, illuminating her past mistakes, she felt a surge of defiance. The darkness thrived on shame, but they had moments of joy to counter it, memories forged in laughter pushing back the shadows. Ethan, hold on to your light, Jenna urged, locking her eyes on Hargrove's frigid stare. We are more than our darkest secrets. With that proclamation, she felt the warmth of Ethan's glow swell, a beacon in the dark, sending ripples of light into the twisting abyss. The shadows hissed, chastising the light building steadily between them. Can you feel it, Ethan? Jenna cried with renewed strength. This is our moment to rise. We will not be bound by the chains of our past. Ethan. She felt him nod beside her, a resolve brightening his eyes. This was the connection they would harness through every tear and every laugh, their spirits intertwined amid the shadows seeping from Hargrove's grotesque form. For a moment, she envisioned every good memory. Every moment of warmth shared a tapestry of love, that could shatter the suffocating gloom. Together, they shouted, their voices harmonizing as one, and the air shimmered, the darkness recoiling, shadows twisting back in fury. Jenna reached for Ethan's hand, sending a shockwave of vibrancy connecting them deeper, igniting like a firework bursting into the night sky. The brilliance cascaded forward against Hargrove, illuminating the malignant darkness that encircled him, revealing its illusory form. "No, this can't be," Hargrove screeched, his voice fraying at the edges like brittle parchment, the shadows groping desperately to reclaim their power. "Mom, it's working," Ethan encouraged, stepping closer. "Never forget how much we have fought for each other." The depths of the dark began to cavitate, swirling relentlessly as Jenna held tight to that vision of laughter shared, moments stolen in quiet solitude, every heartbeat stronger than the fear alone. Each memory pushed forward, another step toward emancipation. "Face your truth, Hargrove," Jenna challenged, every word crashing upon him like waves. "You don't own us. You lost your way long ago." With the ferocity of a mother's love, they propelled forward, flooding the darkness with an explosive light that seared through Hargrove's facade. Harrowing cries shot through the air, a chorus of lost souls igniting a wildfire of hope intertwined with fury. The balance was shifting. Suddenly they weren't just screaming their worth at Hargrove. They were awakening the others, the children trapped within his grasp. "Ethan, can you hear them?" she begged, feeling a ripple of urgency. "We have to set them free." "Yes, I hear them, Mom," he called back, his own light surging with additional brilliance. Shadows flailed against the vortex of their bond, becoming unraveled by the onslaught of strength fueled by stolen laughter and love. "Let them go," Jenna commanded fiercely, anchoring her hope in the pull of light that tethered them both. Hargrove's raging figure flickered, his grasp waning as the searing light expanded, shattering the chains binding the trapped souls. Their cries grew louder, transforming into a whirlwind of freedom, a crescendo rising from the depths of their anguish. One by one, the faces of the lost flickered against the shadows, breaking free from captivity as Jenna and Ethan stood resolute, refusing to back down. The darkness howled, but Jenna could see it now, the fear, the treachery, the uncertainty laid bare, stripped of its veneer. She felt their agonizing energy swirling, but fueled only by the shimmering warmth midst the blackness. She saw a way through. "Together we will break this curse." Jenna's voice echoed against the darkness, finding strength through every cry of freedom, uncoiling itself in ripples like fire through dry grass. "Our love is limitless." With those final words, light exploded outward. The walls of shadows shattered, and Hargrove's terrible form dissolved into nothingness, evaporating into a voiceless wail that echoed empty across the void. Ethan gasped as the light swept over them, illuminating the faces of the children who had been imprisoned, their eyes now brimming with gratitude and relief. Sorrow and fear faded, dissipating on the waves of love and hope they shared. Jenna pulled Ethan close, relief rushing over her like a balm, their truth uniting them against the chaos that had once threatened to consume them. "I'm here, my love," she whispered, squeezing him tightly. "We've broken the cycle." As their home began to heal from the shadows that had blanketed it, whispers of the past unraveled softly in the light, transforming into promises for a brighter future. The neighborhood felt alive again as they walked toward the dawn, leaving the nightmares behind. "Mom, we did it," Ethan cheered, his laughter blending magnificently into the brightness blossoming around them. "Yes, we did," Jenna beamed, gratitude lining her heart. "Together always." As the sun rose, Jenna knew that every step forward would be a choice to remember their strength, to nurture the bond forged through darkness, and to cherish the love they carried, renewed by hope. Now, as they stood victorious against the world that lay ahead, she finally felt free. But in that quiet moment, she understood true battles never truly ended. They simply transformed into new beginnings. Jenna and Ethan held hands, ready to embrace whatever awaited, knowing that their love would always light the way. And there, amid the sparkle of dawn, as they crossed the threshold of their home, Jenna realized that against all odds, they had truly won. If you loved this ending, you need to subscribe now so you never miss another thrilling story. Smash that like button to let the algorithm know you want more. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories. What did you think of the conclusion? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this epic finale. Only true fans understand how essential it is to support the channel. Your engagement makes a difference,